and let me offer you a very warm welcome here to this special day of graduation for our wonderful graduate Anns, as they are already in the hall and behind us on the stage today. It's wonderful to see all these highly talented individuals having benefited from a Strathclyde education, ready to launch themselves into the next stage of their careers. And a particularly warm welcome to the families and friends of those that are graduating today. It's a particularly special day for all of you. And here in the Barony Hall, this is the jewel in the crown of our estate. Much happens in this building, whether it's special dinners, conferences, events, but most importantly, graduation ceremonies. Every year we'll graduate about 4,500 Strathclyders that we'll launch into the world to make a difference based on their education, whether undergraduate, postgraduate or research. Of course, we want you to thoroughly enjoy that today. Now, this cohort that we're graduating this morning is a particularly special cohort because this is our inaugural spring graduation season. Normally, as you know, we have our graduations in November or in June, but many of our students come, all of you will come typically in January for postgraduate talk programs. And for one reason or another, it means that it's not easy to participate in the summer graduation. So we were delighted to innovate some additional graduation ceremonies and to make sure you had the full Strathclyde experience, and many of your family have been able to come and join us as well. So we'll get started shortly as we introduce each graduate. You'll be invited up to come across the stage. Whilst this is a solemn and serious occasion, for those of you that are here to support your family, do feel free to let your family know that you're here, within reason. Clapping is fine, and the occasional whoop will do as well, but all within reason. And when you come along here, I will cap you. This piece of furniture that sits before me probably harks back to how we used to do things. This kneeler used to have either the principal or the chancellor of the university sitting on this side of it, and one would kneel before the principal or chancellor to be capped. I've knelt on this 3 times from a bachelor's, master's and PhD, but I would say you do not kneel because we're a bit more egalitarian these days. I'd much rather look you in the eye as we cap you and congratulate you on your great achievements. So with that, please enjoy this morning, and please, all of you, reflect on the fantastic achievements that we're celebrating today. And with that, I will declare this graduation ceremony formally open, and I'll invite Professor Stuart Galloway, Vice Dean of the Engineering Faculty, to introduce the graduates. Thank you very much.
Principal, Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for Research in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Ibrahim Mohamed Lawal. For Research in the Department of Electronic and Electrical Engineering, Matthew David Cole. For Research in the Department of Naval Architecture, Ocean and Marine Engineering, Yihan Li Wu. For the degree of Master of Science in Advanced Construction Technologies and Building Information Management, Hasib Ahmad. Deji Korida Alana. Kelvin Raj Anthony Sami. Usman Azam. Vikrant Balchandra Bisen. Srihari Bogana. Prasanna Shiva Kumar Bodhi Halmath. Kirthana Ganta. Abhi Hisek Gulapur Jayapa. Mayank Suchita Gupta. Smitesh Dikar Hankari. Sayed Asadullah Hosseini. Pradnya Arun Hoblika. Uttakaresh Rajesh Kushpur. Pravna Kumar Kumaravel. Harshitha Meduri. Harshish Muthu. Arishwari Masur Rajswara Babu. Hamid Asif Nagur Mirsharshav. Sohail Nazafatpur. Sabarinatha Pandian. Seyi Sanjay Pital. J.G. Raja Busali. Sandra Ramesh. Abhinav Rapol. Ayishwarya Vijayanth Ravi Kanthan. Lokishwar Ravi Kumar. Robbie Edward Reed. Adnan Shagir Sheikh. Yuvraj Parashuram Shinde. Amrutha Sudhakaran. Uruj Khan Amir Khan. And Ashwini Vithi Yanathan. In architectural design for conservation of built heritage, Ashwarya Mangesh Patil. In biomedical engineering, Vidhai Vashina Bala Krishna. Adthia Chetrilka Vala Yudran. Akachuku Deborah Francis. Aqualine Terence George. Jonathan Stephen Griffin. Adithaya Jayakumar. Anaswara Katumunda. Tian Lei Li. Sheikh Rakiz Mahadum Ali. Atri Mandal. Lucy McCrossan. Adwaith Mohanan Pili Schreeder. Simon Achi Omar Ingwe. Vesh Navi Ramraj. Snehitha Se Shava Devi Sagaru Aju. Nilima Vusu Devan Nair. Nivan Prakash Vincent Selavar Raj. And in prosthetics and orthotics, Prem Kumar Sanjeev Gandhi. In advanced chemical engineering, Mohammed Muzamil Ahmed Nazir. Alan Baby. Ayman Belul. Saeed Zahir Haider. Lalitha Priyanka Mara. Garba Idoko Musa. Joe Samuel Stanley. In sustainable engineering, chemical processing, Divya Kuntalvala. Sham Narayana Visanantha. My apologies. In civil engineering, Abdul Leila Saad Al-Shari. Amal Raj Rajendran. Tarun Suresh Kumar Kubanur. In civil engineering with structural engineering and project management, Nabil Aftab. Kushagari Tusharbai Rawal. Arya Tayyal. In environmental engineering, Salo Ni Santosh Deshmukh. Ankita Payal. Mohammadin Rasika. In hydrology, Lofty Merwan Hajimi. Esther Chifu Niru Mabedi. In sustainable and environmental studies, Abhimanyu Badwarj. Iona Elizabeth Bradley. Lindsay Ann Maycock. Mohita. Maria Serrano Martans. In engineering management for process excellence, Vikvek Manoj Atre. Subhash Babu. Mohammed Danish. Saeed Humza Farhan. Kiran Gutula. Usama Hassan. Dudi Kula Abid Hussein. Mevin Yacob. Naz Shukiri Jamel. Ainueth Jayadev. Yash Prakash Joshi. Akshay Sanjay Campbell. Sailokesh Kamran Pudi. Denish Kumar Ashok Bey Prajapati. Arun Sasi Kala. Sefrina Ezani Ismail. Samir Syed Elyaz. Sankit Vinayak Thayokri. Brian Simon Varghese. Manoj Kumar Venkatradulu. In mechatronics and automation, Obid Fadgosht also Bayi. Kamal Suleiman Asanusi. Daniel Ajibola Adigibi. Dervesh Sharad Hedau. Prabhu Venkatesh Nagarjan. Georgian Fankachan Pleil. Rahul Shaji James. Aryan Venunath, sorry. In supply chain and logistics management, Harsh Kuldeep Agrawal. Parth Ahuja. Maksud Alam. Shatchajit Singh Rajendrinsan Atudaria. Chatanu Dubey. Pranav Prashant Gaikwad. Harshit. Wasim Hashim. Hindavi Santosh Jagtap. Rishikesh Mangesh Janokar Orkar. Shanmu Gapriya Kanan. Garvet Kapoor. Omar Khan. Nimish Pramod Katvarkar. Sonika Gandhi Kulu Ri Sridhar. Yajash Kon Athala. Soham Ashish Kulkarni. Siddharth Lakhani. Darshini Lakshman. Omkar Chandra Kant Lembi. Dinesh Kumar Madeswaran. Harsh Narendrabi Mandava Adariva. Kaustubh Sanjeep Mehajari. Mabel Mensah. Harsha Vardhan Varma Mudu Luru. Ranjini Raju Panika. Pooja Arvinda Kumar Pansuriya. Shivan Patidar. Raul Rami Gowda. Preeti Dilip Revankar. Ajit Sekar. Ishna Bharat-Shah. Nagchinmay Shiva Prasad. Shrishti Munayapa Gaudi. AJ Ashok Udan. Himanshi Yadav. In supply chain procurement and management, Ula Watosen Ulan Rawaju Aken Kugbe. Meshari Abdul Aziz Al Duhaim. Nachinapan Miyapan. In supply chain and sustainability management, Sonu Ganpanthi Fanfanda Subaya. In electronic and electrical engineering, Sidesh Sandeep Dushmek. Fuad Hajiev, my apologies. Tuhina Malik. Ali Mahmood. Emmanuel Patrick Pierce. Sebin Sebastian. Aliha Tariq. In machine learning and deep learning, Pooja Plavi Leal Anil. In advanced mechanical engineering, Ahmed Isa Al-Qadi. Fabin Mohammed Bashir. Emril Hook. Olesemeka Michael Awabi. Prajwal Manjutha. Manjuthna. Jan Nordmeer. Sherman Richard Saldana. In Advanced Mechanical Engineering with Aerospace, Udit Bagdi. Fake Ahmed Shahid. In Advanced Mechanical Engineering with Energy Systems, Abdul Rahman Tewu Umuwabi. Connor Skerritt. Mohammed Wakas. In Satellite Data for Sustainable Development, Stuart Duncan Brown. Nicole Gainska. In Marine Engineering, Johan Ambrose. Yashnimesh Bai Pathak. Vishnu Vardhan Reddy Somala. In Subsea Pipeline Engineering, Mohammed Nosharwan Haider. Zuruth Sofyana Binti Zanel Abidin. In Sustainable Engineering, Offshore Renewable Energy, Mahasha Arabi. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Biomedical Engineering, Ellie Lily Watson. For the degree of Postgraduate Diploma in Advanced Construction Technologies and Building Information Management, Shivam Sharma. For the degree of Master of Science in Supply Chain and Logistics Management, Arbe Araz Ahmed. So for the degree of Master of Science in Supply Chain and Logistics Management, Pranjana Laxman Pujari. That's it, thank you.
Well done. Well, colleagues, let's give the class of 2024 a big round of applause. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, and to you too, our Strathclyde graduates as you are now, let me reiterate our sincere and warm welcome to this wonderful ceremony. A day that none of you will forget, nor should you, because it marks the successful conclusion of years of hard work, and now you've graduated in front of your proud families, your friends, your supporters, and of course your classmates. And today we welcome visitors from across Scotland and the UK, and of course from across a wonderful and broad international community. We're delighted to see all of you here to join in our celebrations. Importantly, as a university, perhaps as any institution in society, we value freedom of thought. That's extremely important, and we encourage that. We're a place that seeks to be both tolerant and inclusive, and we're people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together to enjoy excellent education and a shared student experience. Because at Strathclyde, we all benefit from having staff and students from over 130 different countries. Because ours is a socially progressive community, one that seeks to be an exemplar for modern society. Because we want to be plural, multicultural, and as far as we can, enlightened, as that reflects back in our roots. It's our responsibility. Graduates, it's your responsibility, of course, to continue to challenge unacceptable behaviour, including by those in power, arguably particularly from those in power, by using reason and by exemplifying the best features of modern society. And you graduate, of course, after fantastic achievements in the knowledge that we're experiencing, sadly, war in Europe again through the illegal invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and we continue to witness the horror of the conflict in the Middle East. There's never been a greater need, graduates, than an enlightened group of leaders such as yourself getting into society, whether that's in the public sector, private sector, here in the UK or back across the countries that you will have joined us from. Because you have to be professional and ethical and challenging, with a commitment to tolerance, of course, but a sense of purpose. That leadership group is namely all of you. But of course, very importantly, we're here to acknowledge your hard work, the learning that you've built up, and the successful completion now of your degree courses. That will be your passport, being no doubt, to making a fuller contribution to your career and to society, in spite of the flux and uncertainty that we still face. And remember, of course, it's not that long ago that we navigated through the global pandemic. We're still facing the euphemistic geopolitical shifts and the economic crises that we're still working through. But we have demonstrated through all of that what society can achieve when we work together through respect, collaboration, and multidisciplinary engagement. And all of these lessons show that we could place science, engineering, research, and innovation at the forefront of finding solutions to the challenges that we face. As you know, it was science, engineering, universities, and innovative industries that delivered the vaccines for the COVID-19 virus in record time. And it will, of course, be science, engineering, and education that will continue to help us address other pressing issues, not least of which the challenge of the century, and that's climate change, and emerging now the impact of AI on society. It wasn't so long ago that you'll remember that Glasgow hosted COP26, a great honour for this city and indeed for Scotland, as we brought together the international leaders to discuss, through that summit of world leaders, measures to minimise the impacts of global warming and climate change. Absolutely critical challenge. We showed Glasgow and Scotland to the world, and the world came here. And as a university community ourselves, we remain acutely aware of our responsibilities, not only, first and foremost, to educate all of you, to be those leaders and those that will lead us into the solutions, but also to act responsibly ourselves, which is why we've set our targets to achieve net zero before 2040. COP26 was a great opportunity for this place too. I had the privilege of meeting John Kerry, who's still the Special Presidential Climate Envoy from the United States, Michael Bloomberg, a fellow electrical engineer, I was delighted to find out, and we had the highlight of hosting former President Barack Obama, whom you'll know was actually with the Prime Minister just yesterday. He came to our campus for half a day to engage with leaders, those with vision, those with passion, people like yourselves, to talk about the critical role that young people have in tackling climate change. He came here, I have to say, under the cover of security. He left, I have to say, through the powers of social media, to a very large audience that had gathered to say goodbye to him. But having said that, as he turned on his heels, I met him along with the student president, but as he turned on his heels to go back into his car, he turned around and said two very simple words to the gathered audience. And he said, "Get active." And I would say that to all of you Strathclyde graduates today. Get active in your careers and making a difference to society and the impacts that you have in your local communities, and those innovations and those impacts that you will have in your career. So it's not just about activism, but it's being active in that professional sense as you pursue what you want to do to make a difference and please go ahead and apply yourself. That's something I check myself on every day. I was brought up here in this city in Glasgow, whilst I travel a great deal. This is my home city. I was brought up in a small hamlet on the other side of the Clyde called Govan, where we are still, thankfully, building ships. My father and my two brothers plied their trade there in the Fairfield shipyards. And the little town of Govan has a motto, and it's nihil sine labore, or nothing without hard work. You're smart, you're clever, you're achieved, you're ambitious, but remember, you cannot replace hard work and application, and bear that in mind. And I try to embrace that ethos every day, and I would recommend that to you as well. Because today you become Strathclyde alumni, and be proud of that. You're the latest of the university's torchbearers, just like those from many generations that have gone before you. And now with all you've successfully come through, I'm sure you agree that you couldn't have done much of this at all without the backing and encouragement of the community of supporters that have been around you, either here in the city, in your classes, or those that have supported you from afar. It's fitting that we acknowledge their contributions in the successful completion of your university studies. So, graduates, as you are now, and to the university staff, please join me in thanking the families, friends and supporters for all that they've done to make today possible. Thank you very much indeed. And for our excellent academic staff too, this is a very important day because your success is ultimately their reward. And they've worked hard to provide you with a high-quality education and a first-class university experience for all of our students, regardless of background. So, graduates, let me now invite all of you to join me in saying a great vote of thanks to our fantastic academic staff. Thank you. So a very brief history of your place, because Strathclyde is your place, of course. And as you leave us today, please remember that we were founded in 1796, the only university to be established in Scotland during the time of the Enlightenment. We're the 8th oldest institution in the UK, and we're 228 years old, having been established as Anderson's Institution, coming through various incarnations such as the Royal College of Science and Technology before we became the University of Strathclyde in 1964 through Royal Charter. The late Queen Elizabeth granted this charter, and this year, of course, we're celebrating our Diamond Jubilee, a year of celebration, reflection, and excitement as we look forward into the next decades where Strathclyde will continue to make a difference. So whilst we're a 2-centuries-old institution, I still try to lead this place, retaining the same sense of entrepreneurship, excitement, and purpose as at the time of our founding. As throughout our history, Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles, and we were established, and I quote in the language of the time, for the benefit of all mankind. We were the only university to drive through that Enlightenment period, inspired by, through our founder, John Anderson, people like Benjamin Franklin, the American that was involved in setting up the University of Pennsylvania in 1751, under its motto of useful knowledge. And that inspired our founder, who in turn was amongst the European thinkers of the Enlightenment and wanted to establish a place of useful learning. And take those two words with you. That's what Strathclyde is all about. Great education, great fundamental research that we then apply to make a difference to society. And useful learning has never been so relevant since our establishment over 200 years ago. The motto should be known by our staff and students, still defining our purpose as a leading international technological university that is committed to being socially progressive. And for example, across our campus and in the buildings that you'll have passed today, as you've come here to the Barony Hall, our academics are developing drugs to diagnose and fight diseases. For example, we have several drugs on clinical trials in the areas of cancer diagnostics and treatment, kidney disease, infection management, and inflammatory diseases. Strathclyders are producing energy technologies and policy solutions to tackle climate change and to seek to establish a truly low-carbon economy. We're revolutionizing global manufacturing, the so-called Industry 4.0, through robotics, AI, automation, advanced materials, new manufacturing technologies. And our students continue to pursue their careers and their studies in low-income countries where they're establishing clean and water and power supplies, deploying healthcare systems, and introducing new telecommunications infrastructure. Our biomedical engineers are bringing prosthetic limb and bioengineering technologies to those in need, particularly in India. We're working to inform public policy here in the UK and beyond on national economic strategy, on innovation, education, health, energy, and much more. Down on George Street, many of you will have either been in or seen their Technology and Innovation Centre. That was a breakthrough investment by the university. It came out for 10 years ago. That really set our stall out to be that international technological university that we've always been since our founding, working initially in that space on energy, photonics, pharmaceuticals. And Thomas Edison, another American inventor, arguably an electrical engineer as well, called his technical team and his labs his inventions factory. Well, TIC has become this city's innovations factory, redefining the Glasgow economy in many ways, having that ripple effect into the rest of the Scottish economy with partners in the academic sector, having further reinforced that recently by creating Scotland's first innovation district here in the city. Over 1,600 companies, concurrently as I speak to you, about £900 million worth of investment in the city. Not just, of course, academic and industrial infrastructure, but all that goes around it. Housing, hotels, restaurants, bars, revitalising the city centre that needs so much support given the thumps and bumps of the past decade. We're now moving in partnership with Scottish Enterprise, the Chamber of Commerce, and others, not least of which are industrial partners, to look at medtech, quantum technology, industrial informatics, advanced communications, up to 6G, and space technology. And who knew that Glasgow was one of the international hubs for space research and technology, and indeed industry now, with over 150 companies in and around this 10-mile radius area. Recently, I have to say that people have been investing in us, not just our industrial partners and the way that we fund their research, but 2 years ago, one of our alum, a man called Dr. Charles Wang, contacted me in the university requiring us to accept a £50 million gift from him to support Strathclyde's mission. It's one of the largest donations ever in UK higher education history, the largest in Scotland, and we've been using Charles's funding to drive forward our work in international business. He was an MBA and PhD student from our business school, but now we're creating the Charles Wang Technology and Innovation Centre down on John Street, which will become an incubator for digital technology spin-outs and startups. Charles Wang, you may not know, but we're very proud of him. He's become a serial entrepreneur with a venture capital firm in California called Pasaka Capital. But we all, when we became amateur biochemists in our kitchens during COVID, when we were testing each other on a regular basis, probably 50% of the lateral flow tests that we used were produced by Charles Wang's companies. And he generated about £10 billion worth of revenues for the benefit of all society, but he committed then to create a foundation which was to make a difference to science, to education, to the economy. And his first donation started here. He also donated back in China, but his first major donation was here. And that innovation district approach here, we've transported out to Glasgow Airport. When you're flying out of the airport these days, keep an eye on the northwest side of the airport. You'll see some large buildings that have appeared, large purple building with a serrated roof. That's the National Manufacturing Institute for Scotland that Strathclyde runs and owns on behalf of the nation. And adjacent to it is the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre that we partner with the CPI. And just down the road from there, the Advanced Forming Research Centre, recapturing for Scotland advanced manufacturing that we all too easily had given up for the previous 40 or 50 years, when in fact it's never gone away. What we have done now is catalyse industry, public sector, and indeed the academic capability to put Scotland at the front of the map in Europe in terms of high-value manufacturing. Our First Minister, Mr Humza Yousaf, formally opened it last summer, and we're working with notaries such as Rolls-Royce, Boeing, Siemens, GSK, AstraZeneca, creating up to 4,000 new jobs in this area, areas which suffer from socioeconomic challenges, but we're recreating a workforce and recreating, through Strathclyde's approach to useful learning, an opportunity for those to engage with in the local community as well as through the international partnerships. So useful learning means that we provide business and industry with the tools they need to be more innovative, to be more productive, and to promote economic growth, supporting quality of life that's both sustainable and healthy. But most importantly, the things that we do is produce and support all of you. You are our most important contribution to society. Our graduates, through leadership, know-how, knowledge, ambition and energy, you'll go out there and make all the difference. And I'm happy to say the university has been recognised externally by not just what we do, but how we do it. In recent years, we've been recognised at the UK Times Higher Education Awards, the only university in the UK to have won UK University of the Year twice. Last year through the new Daily Mail annual tables, we have been named Scottish University of the Year, moving into the top 10 for the first time, and runner-up to Imperial College as the UK University of the Year. And that, for me, talks about the work that we do and how we do it. It's not about these plaudits in their own right, but it's a reflection on the quality and the comparative analysis that's done to have these things come through. Alistair McCall, who was the table compiler at the Sunday Times, was actually here yesterday on campus, and his quote about Strathclyde 6 months ago was that we, to him, were the epitome of a progressive 21st century university, seeking to shape, and I'm quoting, and change society for the better through the pursuit of educational excellence and social change, and still a place of useful learning, just as it set out to be more than 200 years ago. And that, we coupled with being named the European Entrepreneurial University of the Year last year as well. So I should reflect briefly on your faculty. We have 4 faculties, of course: engineering, science, a business school, and humanities and social sciences. And there are many plaudits. I'll only highlight a brief few. We talked about the opening of the National Manufacturing Innovation Scotland, but that entrepreneurial flair led to Microplate DX, one of our spin-outs, was named the best startup category in the Barclays Entrepreneurship Awards. That's the Barclays Eagle Labs, giving a platform to confirm the presence of bacteria and to guide the patient's doctor to effective treatments. Also, we're part of a global effort to create 100% renewable energy grids worldwide, starting, of course, in the UK. 2030 is going to be a tough call to decarbonise the grid, but Strathclyde academics are providing the pathways for utilities, technology developers, and indeed regulators working through the scheme that we have here. For example, Scotland is seeking to build another 25,000 megawatts of wind power by 2030, and that's going to be critically dependent on building the grid and reinvesting in the grid here in Scotland and through the UK. Strathclyde and a university spin-out were part of a team winning 2 innovation awards for deploying, this was an interesting one for us, deploying a pop-up 5G network to support the live broadcast of King Charles III's coronation. Colleagues from EEE and the spin-out company deployed a 5G system that the world's media were critically dependent on, able to build it in a couple of days, and it was there as comms infrastructure, now going on to other very creative applications internationally. And we were also awarded funding from the UK Space Agency to develop AI technologies to enhance space safety and sustainability. And a trio of our Strathclyders, John Douglas, Augusta Egea Alvarez, and Craig Robertson, all received awards, industrial fellowships from the Royal Academy of Engineering, and much more, led by our Dean, Professor Stephen MacArthur, who's with us today. So that's the exciting context, graduates, in which you should view your awards. You're now graduates of a university that places our students at the heart of all that we're doing. We value excellence, of course, in education, but also research. The best university combine research informing education, and we create strong connections with society at large, as well as with the business world. And internationalisation is key. We're seeing that from the richness and the quality and the diversity of those that we've graduated today. And institutionally, we connect with a whole world of partners, probably about 200 university partners around the globe, but we have strategic partners that we're very deeply connected to. In the States, that includes Stanford, New York, and MIT. strong partnership with the University of Southern California and with the University of Waterloo in Canada. In China, we were with them in November, particularly with Peking and Tsinghua universities, the #1 and #2 in China, and the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, where we have a particularly strong link, given we were involved in them forming into a university some 60 years ago. And a strong raft of partnerships across the EU. In spite of Brexit, which I can say I personally regretted greatly, we are now reconnecting through Horizon Europe, which is a programme that allows British and European researchers to continue to work together. Of course, all of you are students. You've directly benefited from being part of an international university, helping you to emerge with the skills necessary for yourselves, and indeed for those of you who will stay in Scotland and for Scotland, and for those of you that will go to other parts of the world, playing a full part in the world. And all of our students have been exposed to the richness and the value of different cultures and traditions. But most importantly, graduates, you're leaving here, please understanding your obligations as global citizens. We also remain, as amongst the group of Scottish research intensive universities, as having the highest proportional number of young people that come from most challenged backgrounds in Scotland. About 1,300 every year come here. We get them in, keep them in, graduate them and send them on their way. And over 500 or so come from the most challenged quintile in the Scottish measure of socioeconomic deprivation, and we're proud of that. And yet we're joint 5th in the UK for our overall entrance qualifications, making a nonsense that if you keep your doors wide open, you must be compromising quality. Not a bit of it. Because we make that a strategic priority, we can forge ahead with the great quality of our education and the cohorts that we bring in, but yet still bring in those that have the wherewithal intellectually, but perhaps not the means to find their pathway through easily. And in this hall, in a couple of months' time, we'll have the young Strathclyde graduates. But 300 youngsters from 20 schools around Glasgow will be here. 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds coming with their capes and their mortarboards to graduate. Most of them, their families, have never had a connection to university before, but they come here because that socially progressive handle I've talked about isn't a motto, it's a commitment on our part, and you should be proud of the institution that you've just graduated from, that we're committed to live up to the values in the organisation. So let me conclude by characterising our place in 2024. I describe us as being distinctive, and others do, most importantly. We have ambition, focus and momentum, continue our work with the agility and commitment required to navigate all of this flux that we've talked about, the headwinds that our sector faces, the political and economic uncertainties that we all face. But we're 228 years old. We've seen worse, we've come through worse, and because of that focus on our distinctive strategy, we'll deliver success and continue to do so. It's a great privilege for me to lead this fantastic institution with the great support I have from my executive team, as well as from the broader community of academics, professional services staff and our support staff. And I truly believe that our founder, John Anderson, if he was witnessing what we were doing today, he would recognise us as realising what he sought to establish during the Scottish Enlightenment, namely useful learning. And to all of you in the Barony Hall, I'm certain that today's graduates will have an enormous impact on society through your careers and your application, and that 2024 can truly become a vintage year for Strathclyders. You've shown resilience, maturity, great application, and we're all very proud of you. And as you leave us today, remember you're joining a community now since 1964, not to 1796, but since we got our charter, you're now joining a community of over 200,000 Strathclyders around the world. So please remember, whatever you do with your degree and whatever you decide to pursue your career, truly useful learning means that you apply your knowledge for the benefit of others. Please make a positive impact for yourselves and the communities that you belong to. Respect diversity, value freedom of expression and thought, and reach conclusions and resolve disputes through reason and tolerance. These characterise the core values of your university. So we're all here, of course, to mark your achievements for all those that have received their degrees today. On behalf of the entire university community, I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations to each and every one of you. Wish you every success in your future careers and encourage you, please, to stay in touch with us and let us know about your progress. Well done again. and please enjoy the rest of this very special day. Thank you. Very good. I was just looking for a signal at the end of the aisle, and I talked about advanced digital communications. I just got the digital communications from the back of the hall that the weather is good, the sun is shining, which is a good sign to all our new graduates marching off into their new careers. So what we will do once I close the ceremony is that there'll be a procession down the hall. Please allow us to process, then join us. There will be a reception back over at the Learning and Teaching building, where you are most cordially welcome to come, have a refreshment and a chat with the students and the staff that are here today. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, graduates of Strathclyde, I will declare this congregation closed and ask you to be upstanding. Thank you very much indeed.